Yeah, I think the ultimate box. If we're gonna say that art is playing in a sandbox, because that's kind of how I visualize it. Painting has these dimensions, music has these dimensions. If we're gonna paint to the big box, then I would just say that's life. I think to me, life feels like a story. I feel like a character in a story. And it's not just my story. I feel like there's other characters and we're all telling a story together. So like my life feels like the ultimate, the biggest sandbox I can think of, if that makes sense. Like I don't know if I see me trying to craft something as being bigger than that. Well, my name's Doug May. I work as a sound mixer, everything sound designer, music composer, mostly for film and TV, and we're in my space here today. And I like to tell people this is either the cathedral for me or it's the coffin. Often I'm calling it the man coffin because I spend all my time out here and sometimes I feel like I'm gonna die out here. I'll probably die out here. That's what I'm trying to say. Bury me in the studio. I think I would describe myself or define myself as like a hopeless mystic and somebody who's spiritual and deeply interested in meaning and deeply interested in stories and how those elucidate the patterns of meaning. So yeah, and then hopefully my work kind of plays into that, but I would call myself the hopeless mystic first, for sure. If money were no object and I could do whatever I wanted, I think I probably would be doing similar things. Just people that I love. We'd be making lots of pizza together. We'd be playing board games together. Let's go all analog if we can. Get the phones and the computers away. Let's just be together and experience life together. That's probably what I would be doing. So that would manifest itself in 100 different ways, I think. Board games. I've always had this dream of running Dungeons and Dragons sessions for people. Like just go way overboard, spend months creating the terrain and everything and writing the content. And then, yeah, it's almost like an act of love to help people tell stories that are engaging and bring meaning to their lives. So I don't think much would change, honestly. I think I would still be creating music and trying to capture experience with people that I care about. The last few years of my life, like there's been this expansion outward. So like, I really, and I could just say that, but like, I do think a lot of my time would be spent thinking about other people and trying to find ways to make them feel more joy, because I think that's what gives me joy. So, and I think that would include art. But how do you define art? I just think that would manifest itself in 100 different ways, but I think at the heart of it would just be something like others.
Do you feel like you have a pretty strong understanding of you?
It would sound, I'm tempted to say yes, but that sounds like I'm all confident about it or anything or something, but I'm not. Like I'm not confident about that, but I do feel like I have a sense of kind of how my mind works and how other minds work and how they relate to each other, and yeah.
Is that what you would call self?
Yeah. I have, there's lots of imagery too. It's like over the years I've seen my mind, I always describe it as a tree. It's like the mental map that we're all building as we gain experience and live feels like a tree to me. I can't really add new things unless they feel connected to my mapping. So yeah, it's something that grows out. That's how it feels to me.
Have you tried to like express that in some version of self-portraiture? Like is that it could be a journal, it could be music.
Journaling. I've tried journaling. Writing's hard for me. I think people that are good at writing, it blows my mind, because I feel like there's a lot of things and to condense those down feels really difficult to me. But I would say like unconsciously through music and conversation with loved ones, like I do think that gets expressed for sure.
Where do you want to see yourself in X amount of time?
I mean, that's such an interesting question, because anytime I try to think too far ahead, like if I project out into the future, usually my visions or my hopes or my ambitions, they're really simple. Like I'm not the kind of person that has this massive goal and like, I'm chasing it or whatever. Like I'm pretty day to day. Like I try really hard to be present. I think I get pretty anxious if I'm spending too much time, on goals or things like that. So I try to keep it a little closer to today. Like often I don't know what I'm doing next week, but I think because of that I can be more present. But yeah, I'd love to be doing, big picture, I guess, like nothing specific, but I'd love to be doing creative work still. I want to have people in my life that I care about. I'd like to have simple things that I'm improving over time that are where there's no pressure. So like, the last year we've been making pizza in an oven, like a stone oven. And like, that's just the kind of fun thing that I can just chip away at. And I don't like it to get too much bigger than that. I've been on this thing lately of events versus patterns. And a question like that, what's the best thing that's happened to you? It's almost implying an event. It's like, I'm just not as interested in that. Like to me, it's a pattern. So the best thing that's happened to me is this pattern of finding somebody that I love and building a life with them. So it's all that. It's probably the best thing that's happened to me. And now we've got kids, and kids are the ultimate art project because it's not just a mirror that you just looking at yourself in. It's like there's some collaboration there, They're in the sandbox with you. So, yeah. I can't think of anything better than that.
What are kind of your hopes for your kids?
My hope is that it'll be a golden age with all the technology and everything that's happening. My hope is that there will be a golden age, but then I think that'll have its own set of challenges. And I would hope that my kids could just stay grounded and not look for meaning in their lives anywhere outside of what's already available to them, if that makes sense. Like everybody for the most part has what they need to find meaning in their life. Like I don't think that we really need to look that far. Like it's here, So, but it's taken me a long time to really feel that. So my hope would be that the kids, with everything pulling at them, we talked about those attachments earlier, it's like they're gonna have way more attachments than I ever had that are gonna be stronger, that are gonna be pulling. My hope is that they learn that they can connect to something better that will actually give them energy instead of just draining them. That'll be very hard for them. I think it'll be harder for them than it's ever been for most people. One fear that I might have is not loving or being aware enough or present enough to love the things that have been given to me, and then constantly bringing all these things in, expecting that love to happen and missing it. So I really love Toy Story, and I've always felt like Andy, where you're just collecting these toys, and it's a very big deal. Buzz comes in, it's a huge deal. That's the whole plot of the first movie. Buzz coming in. I want to add a new thing. That's a big deal because I already have all these things to love. One of my fears is getting to a point in my life where I have too much and things end up on the shelf and they're not part of the story. I think my biggest fear is I think I'm at a point now in my life where I feel like it's about faith or something. It like trusting in a story that you can't fully understand or prove and leaping into that. And my fear is that the image that's in my head, that's been in my head for the last 6 months or so, is this feeling of being up in a tree and the tree's on fire and it's burning. And it's just this feeling you need to jump. But it's this feeling of like, what am I going to jump to? And the rational mind wants to have proof that they're solid. If I'm going to jump to another tree, this branch isn't going to break. I need proof that this is the right branch to jump to. This is the right way to go, even though it's a leap. My fear is that all of that's confirmed and you make this leap into something that you don't quite understand and you never will, but you feel a pull towards it. You leap into that and it's not It's not there. It doesn't have your back. It's not there to catch you. So like that's a fear of mine, because falling after that leap, like it almost feels like you can only make that leap a certain number of times before you just give up on the whole thing, if that makes sense. It's kind of a weird thing. Like I don't necessarily think I'm afraid of weird specific things happening. It's more just like picking the wrong story and it not doing what I think it'll do.
Is there a scenario or a state that you're likely be in that you'd be disappointed to see?
Yeah, absolutely. Just the other day we were driving down the road and I had to get over because it was a right turn only, and so I had plenty of room. There's a guy several hundred feet back and we were going the same speed and I had plenty of room, and I got over and he did that classic thing where he saw me get over and they sped up because he must have been bugged for some reason, and then he's flipping me off and I can tell I just ruined his morning. And I remember distinctly thinking, I don't want to be that guy. Like, I think there's some people that just get so bitter and they lose that trust. It's like the rational part of me that wants to be grounded. I think if I leaned too much into that, is that the right way to say it? I think if I relied too much on that rational part of my mind, it would let me down. For some reason, I just have a feeling of that. And then I would turn into the old curmudgeon that is pissed off at everyone else because no one else matters and there's not a larger story. We're just, evolved creatures that are just surviving. And it's like, you're in my way. I don't want to be that. Because I see nothing but misery there. And who wants to be that guy? It's like, I don't want to be that guy. So, yeah.
That would be a disappointment.
I mean, I could see life very easily going that way because people's lives are hard for sure. And like, it's very easy to get bitter and resentful. And it's very easy to ruminate and swim in that. And I think I've been hyper aware of that. So it's like, yeah, that ain't it for me. There's got to be a better story centered around love and unity and compassion so that you don't turn into that guy. It's always the old guy too. They're always old. And you can just tell they've had a hard life. And they thought things were supposed to happen and it didn't or something. And they just don't have a good story.
Do you get distracted by the sparkly things?
For sure. Absolutely. I think the sparkly things are super important, and I don't even necessarily think that they're distractions. I think they're wildly useful. Like, not to get too like religious or anything, but I really love some of the metaphors that Christ uses in the New Testament. One in particular is salt. In the Sermon on the Mount, he tells people, you'll be salt of the earth. And to me, I interpret that as having all these connections, the shiny things. He actually wants us there. He wants us to have all this and to be dealing in all these things without them draining us. So it's kind of like, yeah, I don't see them as the shiny things as bad or even distractions. Like, I think they're actually good things. It's just in their proper place kind of a thing, if that makes sense. But definitely, if things aren't ordered correctly, they'll drain you for sure. And then it becomes way more than just a distraction. It becomes a drain and like not good,
What's kind of your hierarchy?
I think maybe that's changed over the years, but I would say it feels like love, something like love. Whatever's at the top of that, it's ineffable. It's not something that is like right here and obvious. It's a pattern or something. It's something that's very hard to describe, and we probably will never understand completely. Put whatever you want in that position. Call it God, call it the universe, call it whatever you want. It's just something we don't understand, but that I would project love, I would say is love. So yeah, love, and then whatever else comes after that, probably family, friends, feeling creative, wonder, yeah. Maybe hopefully that makes sense. I've spent my fair share of time kind of detaching from things that cause pain, like things that we love, things that we attach to. I've spent my fair share of time trying to detach from that just because I don't want to feel the pain. But outside of that, yeah, that's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me. Spending time there, it's very lonely. You turn off all your feelings, you turn off everything. It's hard to feel light and love when you're in that state. And I've spent time there for sure.
Do you feel like you get detached from your body even?
Oh yeah. Complete dissociation when it's really bad.
Do you feel like there's chunks of time that are like almost missing? It's like the memories from there are not the same.
Yeah, I think passage of time is interesting because I can't remember what the phenomenon's called, but when you're engaging in something new or novel, time seems to move a little slower because there's just more awareness. So I would say that lost time is just missing awareness. You're just not engaging with life. So they're like in low points for sure. I've had some low points where it feels like lost time. It almost feels like you're just watching things happen. Like you're just watching yourself. You're not really engaged in it because that awareness is gone. Yeah.
And you feel like those times have gone away?
They come in waves, but I spend a lot less time there now than I used to, for sure.
Do you feel like you figured out how to reattach?
I think, how I don't want to get too personal or whatever, but I do think I have kind of made some more spiritual, some like shifts have happened to me spiritually, and it has felt like a reattachment to certain things that has been very helpful for me in reducing not just the like that lonely feeling of being detached from everything, but I think it's really helped with bringing energy to the stuff that I want to attach to, like the source. It's like you gotta get energy and light from somewhere, and then I can have these attachments again, and they're not draining me, So I would say that with like that attachment, it is about attachment to me. Like I think people can spend a lot of time and a lot of energy trying to detach, and I think at the end of the day, there's always an attachment, however small. Like to get up and exist, you have to be attached to something or some things. And so I think trying to get rid of that is unproductive. And, as I've gotten older, I think I've realized it is about attachment, but it's attaching to the right things that actually give you energy. And then there's energy for all the other things that are, painful. I don't think I've ever had the assumption or even entertained the idea that like I am somehow in full control of my destiny, making everything happen around me. Like I think for me, there has been enough awareness and maybe even existential anxiety, whatever you want to call it, to know that like the world is way too big. There's way too much going on. There's way too many things that are related that grow together, and for me to have like really made that happen in any sort of meaningful way. Like I think in some sense we're all trees that grow, but you can't uproot yourself. Things get really hard if you try to uproot yourself and go to some other ground. It's like I kind of am where I am. I wasn't in charge of where I got planted, but I can look towards the light and try and grow. That's how I view it. It's like, how much of my life have I made happen? I don't know. It's not zero, but I don't think I'll ever understand. The world's too complicated for me to ever understand what I've done that has made a difference for me, other than just try to be more loving, try to be present. Like, I think something else seems to be making things grow. It's not just my effort. Does that make sense?
Makes sense. It makes sense. I like the tree analogy.
Like, for me, it's just love. Like, I do my best to love the people around me, and then my life happens. It's the best strategy I can think of. Thinking too much about it just doesn't work. It's not necessarily my art. It's not necessarily the possessions that I have. It's not like the bigger house. It's not more reputation. There's something else. Connection to the source. Like, I feel like I'm hungry for that. I don't know if you've ever read The Alchemist, that book by Paulo Coelho. I really love that book, and it feels relatable to me, and it's like the omens are what I'm after. I'm hungry for the omens. I don't really care about the crystals in the shop. They're there and they're shiny. But like, I'm hungry for a bigger story that might ask me to leave the crystals. To me, it's all about story and the necessity for telling good stories. Or like, maybe not necessity, but you want a good life, and it's a story. You're telling a story. There's not a formula for it. As much as, in the same way that I would say there's not there might be formulas for good stories, and in that way there might be a formula for a good life, but like, life is a story that we tell, that we're actively telling. So yeah, that part of me that's hungry, it's hungry for story, a good story. What would I want the world to look like in the time that I'm here? Yeah, I mean, I think I really like the idea. Earlier I was talking about kind of that arc that I went on, where it was wonder kid, naive, into I want to be grounded, so I'm going to become rational and logical. And then I think I moved out of that into something else that's a little more artistic and floaty. And I feel like humanity, for me at least, when I look at humanity, it seems like it's on a similar trajectory. It's like there was the Enlightened Age or whatever, where that was rationality and stuff, and we climbed out of that. But then I think there was this waking up to, and that's probably what's happening now. It's kind of like, yeah, rationality and logic's not enough. We need story. We need mysticism. We need magic. We want to go back to that, but now we're going to bring the logic and the rationality with it. So I feel like, for me, the world feels that way to me. Like, it feels like it's coming out of pure logic and rationality back into the world of story, which I think is ridiculously exciting. So what I want to see the world, say I live to be 100, say I live another 60 years, I would love to see the world become more artistic, but in such a way that's grounded, because I don't want to shed the Enlightenment. I don't want to leave the rationality and the logic behind. Let's bring that with us. Let's understand that we're creating stories, that at the base of everything are assumptions. The axioms are assumptions that are unprovable. Let's grow out of that in a logical way, but let's tell story. And for me, if I could sum all that up, it's something cliche like love, or so. There's no proof or rationality or logic for love. But like, why don't we live in that story? And let's find unity in love. Like, my hope is that humans will climb out of that and they'll find a new story that's beautiful, and it won't just go back to cold, hard rationality alone, you know? Hopefully that makes sense. I want more story, but I want to lean into that story. I don't want to be called stupid for, leaning into story and mysticism a little bit, because I think we need it.